in the US, you should give a 20% tip at a restaurant. Okay, can everybody see that? Okay. Who goes to restaurants? Who likes to eat out? Just you, Peter? Nobody else goes to restaurants?
Sometimes.
I don't believe you.
Sometimes.
So in the U.S., the people who are serving the food, the servers at a restaurant, they get paid very, very little money. I can tell you that from experience because I'm a server.
Yeah.
So the restaurant will pay the server practically nothing. And so it's the responsibility of the guests, the people who are eating at the restaurant, to give 20% at the end of their meal, 20% of the total bill, extra. So that's an important suggestion for how to behave at a restaurant in the United States. So do you see what I mean? You know, depending on where we are, there are certain suggested behaviors, certain suggested ways of being. And then I wanted to give you an example of a sentence with obligation, right, or have to, or must. So, in the US, you have to drive on the right side of the road. Okay. So what is the difference between these two sentences?
Yeah. So, and look like in the first, maybe you don't need to do, but on the second, you must do.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Why do I have to do it on the second one? What happens if I don't?
You need to do because I think it's the look like the culture.
It's the culture.
And you need to follow the culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not special. Look like the rule. But and number two, it look like the rule.
It's a rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's a law,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And what happens if we break the law? Anybody know what happens when you break the law? You go to jail, right?
Yeah.
There's a penalty. Do you all know the word penalty? Penalty is like a punishment. You go to jail as a penalty. Or losing points for handing in a paper late is a penalty. I'll just write that on for you so you can see.
Penalty?
Penalty.
Like the play soccer?
Exactly, yeah. Or in
Okay.
sports, you know, sometimes you make a foul and you have a penalty. So it's a punishment. What I wanted to show you is kind of a chart. So this is a continuum where you have suggestion and you have obligation. But we also have two different words for obligation, don't we? You can say that you have to do something, or you can say that you must do something. And there's a slight difference in how strong these two words are. So when you're talking about obligation and you use the phrase have to, that's going to be slightly weaker than saying must. So if I wanted to tell Andy that she really needed to do her homework, that I wanted her to do her homework, I would probably say, you must do your homework. Whereas if I maybe didn't have quite such a strong obligation for something, I would use have to. And the other thing that I wanted to mention about have to is that we don't usually pronounce it like that. Maybe that feels unfamiliar to you because you haven't heard it like that. We actually say have to. Have you all heard that? Have to?
You have to do.
You have to do something. You have to do something. You'll almost never hear have to. It's always pronounced have to. Like that. It's good. It's okay. Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming.
One development tell a lot of way.
So I'm just going to catch everybody up because I want to do a little activity with you all. But we're talking about suggestion versus obligation, right? suggestion, we use the word should. And then with obligation, we use the word have to or must. So an example that I have up on the board is in the US, you should give a 20% tip at a restaurant. And the second example is in the US, you have to drive on the right side of the road. A third example, if you wanted to use must, could be to receive credit, you must complete your homework. Right? That's true, isn't it? Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to break you all up into pairs, and I'm going to have you come up with an example of something in your home country that you should do, and something in your home country that you must do. So think about maybe in your home country there's a restaurant that you really think that everybody should go to, or there's a tourist attraction that you think everybody would really enjoy. Those are examples of things maybe you should do. And then think about laws in your country, things that you must do, that if you don't, there might be a penalty. Okay, does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about that?
Have to is the meaning should?
Have to, so should and have to have a similar meaning, but it's slightly different. And the difference is that should is a suggestion.
Yes.
Like, you should visit this restaurant, the food is really good there. And have to is obligation.
Obligation. Yes.
So you have to do your homework, or you have to drive on the right side of the road.
I can't say you should do your homework.
You can say you should do your homework, but it's gonna be a little weaker. It's gonna sound more like a suggestion. It's not gonna sound like it's actually required of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So if you want to get into pairs with your partner, write down an example each of something that you should do in your country and something that you have to do in your country for a few minutes. And I'll walk around and help you out if you need it.
How many sentences you need to do?
So just two.
Two, okay.
One using should, one that's about obligation, and then one using have to or must about obligation.
Oh, must obligation.
Must is obligation and should is suggestion.
Oh, okay.
Have to the different from must, yeah?
Yes, so have to and must both kind of mean the same thing, but must is much stronger.
Yes.
So if you want to be very clear that
Have
something
to-
is required,
Yeah.
then you use must, and then have to is a little weaker form
Yeah.
of requiring. Peter and Andy, do you want to work together? Do you want to discuss? Yeah?
So, wait, you get the receipt. You
Say.
yeah. I need to try it.
Everything is
No, Friday, isn't it? Friday, no, isn't it?
So what about negative?
What do you mean? Oh, like you should not?
Uh-huh.
Do you know how to do that? For the suggestion?
Like children?
You should not. You should not leave a 10% tip at a restaurant.
So
I don't remember.
You're about to tell them.
You have to,
You should?
because this is your choice.
Right, it's a choice. So you say, you should, but not you should too. So you should.
How's it going? Kind of thing? What are the rules? What are the rules?
Yeah. Okay, don't remember the good G.
And neither one of them has to change. The end, there's no ending on it. So we should go, you should go, he should go, they should go, all like that. Yeah, that's right.
What did you say? What is the obligation?
Yeah, if we have to,
Yeah.
2 is
That's
already
perfect.
part
That's a
of the
perfect obligation
company.
either. Good job.
Then, so it kind of confuses people. But it's almost like it's one word, have to. Yeah, so we have to go to school, we must go to school, we have to. Or you'd be in violation of your student visa if you don't go to school most of the time. That's right. And then the US government sends you home or something. It gets too bad. So there's a penalty if you don't attend class. If you have a student visa. If you don't have a student visa,
Okay, cool.
there's no penalty. Except maybe you don't.
How's it
know
going?
what's on the test.
I can say in Saudi Arabia you
There's
must
no
drive
legal penalty.
carefully.
Oh my god. I
You
know
have-
this is a word.
So that's a
Yeah.
good example for a suggestion.
It's more
You should
of a
drive
word
carefully.
Yeah, you
But
should.
what happens if I don't drive carefully?
Specific
There's not always a penalty.
Yeah, because it's Saudi Arabia.
Sometimes there's no penalty at all if people drive recklessly.
If we don't pay our taxes.
And here?
We pay a penalty.
The girl must until
And in soccer.
they
there's a
can
penalty.
get married.
They,
In
oh, okay,
certain
so they,
sports, when someone makes a mistake.
they must wait until 18 to get married? They must wait, right? Until 18 to get married. Ah, okay, that's a law.
They don't, there's not a choice.
You're not allowed to get married before. Oh, that's a really
So they
good
have to-
one. That's
like
really
in
good for
ice
obligation.
hockey, if they break the rule or they start a fight or something, then
Yeah.
it's actually kind of like a
That's
punishment.
good.
Because it makes the guy go to jail
You have to
Yeah,
box
you must.
for a certain amount.
Yeah.
Punishment is used
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
often.
old school.
Most get married, must
Yeah.
get
For
married.
adult,
You can, but there's kind of like a physical, when I think of
The
punishment, I
girls,
think of.
So as when you wear light clothes, like when it's hot,
There in the corner.
Oh, then you should wear less clothes.
it's for less clothes or light
just for.
Or light clothing, yeah, light clothes.
clothes or clothes.
Or you can say thin clothes.
after, yeah.
Right,
Some
if they're not,
clothes.
yeah, penalty
Yeah,
minutes.
they're-
Okay, only
Yeah.
lose license,
Yeah.
have points deducted because you turned something in late. something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
really good news.
Punishment is,
Okay.
I think
I
with
love it.
punishment, I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
worse than.
Everyone,
Yes.
hello. Okay. I've been walking around. And I've been hearing some really good suggestions, so I would love to hear about them if anybody would like to share. So can somebody give me an example of a suggestion of something that I should do or anybody should do in your country? Anybody want to share?
Yeah.
Yeah, over here.
In Saudi Arabia, you should drive carefully.
In Saudi Arabia, you should drive carefully. Good example. Right. Yeah. You should drive carefully. So that's a good example, right? Because does anybody here drive in Atlanta? Yeah, and so you know that not everybody drives carefully, right? Some people don't drive carefully at all. But is there always a penalty for those people who don't drive carefully? Is there always a penalty?
Where? Here in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
No, somebody when they drive.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you can drive not carefully and nothing happens. So that's why in Saudi Arabia you should drive carefully. In Atlanta you should drive carefully. That's a suggestion. Alright, yeah, over here.
The Saudi Arabia women have to wear
see how we have should here in the suggested form, and we have have to or have to.
More women.
So Saudi Arabian women have to wear a hijab.
Saudi women.
Right, we say have to.
Saudi women.
Louise,
I have a question. Do all women in Saudi Arabia have to wear a hijab?
No.
Just Muslim. Not Saudi Arabia. Just Saudi Arabia.
not all women?
Not all women in Saudi Arabia have to wear Saudi hijab.
Just Muslim.
Just Muslim.
Okay, alright, so how can we change this sentence so that it's more
So it's
correct?
just-
Muslim.
So
Muslim women.
Arabian Muslim.
Most women? Or should I say Muslim women?
No, Muslim women have to wear a hijab.
Alright. Does that sound more accurate?
No, Saudi Arabia. Let's
That's okay? Yes, Neva?
One.
Not actually.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not every woman. No.
Okay.
When you are still in high school.
Okay, that's a good one. Thank you, Nathan. In Congo,
Yes, 20.
you
20?
have to
Yeah.
arrive
18.
at school
Oh.
before 7:30
You
when
can say
you
this
are
sentence. I like
still
it, this sentence.
in high school.
But I like it. It's good.
Okay,
Share it. Come on, share.
good. So that's an example of an obligation. Can I get one more example of a suggestion from
Yeah,
somebody?
nice.
Peter?
Yeah. In Vietnam, you should wear jacket when you go outside because it's very sunny.
It's very sunny?
Yeah.
You should wear a jacket?
Yeah, jacket. Because it's protect for your skin.
Oh, to
Yeah.
protect the sun.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. For a second I was like, why would you wear a jacket?
It's very
sunny.
skin, yeah.
Okay, so in
You can protect
Vietnam,
for your skin.
you should wear a jacket because it's very sunny. Good example, Peter. That's good. Okay, is this clear? Does this make sense to everyone? The difference between a suggestion and an obligation?
Yeah, I know.
Somebody tell me what a suggestion is.
I know.
So why did you
Come
raise your
on.
hand?
You have another idea you
But I
wanted to
use
share?
Moss.
Pardon?
Moss.
She has a must
Oh,
suggestion.
you have a must
Must.
sentence? Oh, okay, what is your must sentence?
So in Colombia, you must take care when you are walking.
You must take care?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. Okay, that's a good example, right? So what Andy's saying is that in Colombia, you must be careful when you're walking around. And if you aren't, then there might be a penalty, right? If you're not careful, maybe if you leave your money kind of falling out of your pocket, or if I don't know, you aren't taking care of your things or looking around, something bad can happen. Oh, hi Crystal, welcome. Colombia, you must be careful when you are walking. So, what Andy did there was she used must, right? That's our strongest obligation word. And that's because she thinks it's really important for people to be careful when they're walking in Colombia. Okay. Alright, so can I get someone to tell me what a suggestion is?
Dangerous, you know. You understand?
Must is an obligation, right? It's stronger, yeah. Yes, exactly. Must is like very strong. It's a very strong way of obligating someone to do something. Recommend? Yeah, good. Okay, so did everybody hear what Nathan just said?
Yeah, recommend.
I didn't see.
Recommend, right. A suggestion is when you recommend
South,
something to
South
someone.
America?
Okay, who can tell me what an obligation is?
Something.
I have Professor? Professor?
You do. You do.
Professor?
If you want to get a driver license,
Uh-huh.
your driver license must be 18 years.
It must be 18 years. Yeah, okay, so age limits, that's a good one. In order to get a driver's license, you must be 18 years old, or you have to be 18 years old.
Yes.
So what does that mean? What is an obligation?
The age?
Something important.
Something what?
Important.
Important, right? Something, what happens if you don't do something that is an obligation?
You must do that,
You must do it. Why? What happens if you don't?
because this is the rule.
There's a penalty, right, exactly.
Yeah, this is a rule.
It's a rule, it's
Yeah.
something that's required.
Yeah, required.
Good, okay. Well, thank you all so much. I hope that you understand a little bit more about suggestions and obligations.
Yeah.
I had a fun time hearing about what's suggested and what's required in your countries. But thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very easy to understand.